Better Beer Authority. Better Beer.
Hi, I'm Richard Hartogs, and this is the Better Beer Authority. Today we welcome Nick Anderson, aka the Beermonger. Nick is the Beermonger for Arrowine and Cheese in Arlington, Virginia, a long-standing retail shop that was one of the first stores to consistently carry craft beer. Nick also writes a beer column for ArlingtonNow.com, which is recommended reading even if you're not in the Washington, D.C. area. We've tried to get him on the show in the past, but due to scheduling conflicts, it's been hard. Nick, welcome to the Better Beer Authority.
Thank you for having me.
We're happy to have you. You've curated a great selection of Arrowine.
Thank you.
I'd like to know how you choose your beers, and also you have a pretty unique European selection there, which is more than other boutique craft beer shops. So if you could tell us how you go about picking the beers and why.
Yeah, well, really more than anything else, because the beer department started out, I came on board about 3 years ago at Arrowine, and there was some, beer being done over there, but there wasn't a lot of space dedicated to it yet. And I figured with the small amount of space, I wanted to have as interesting and as high-end a selection as possible. There's so many options now for buying beer. Just even within a couple mile area of our shop, there's, just about a half dozen places you can go to get craft beer. So I figured I would focus on what would be different, what couldn't you find somewhere else. That's changed a lot over the past couple of years. I mean, our stacks, our 6-packs, our 4-packs, our everyday stuff is becoming a lot more local, a lot more region specific, with New Virginia breweries especially coming online and packaging and sending a lot of good stuff up this way. But the European stuff, it's a result of some of the relationships I've formed over the past 10 years of doing this. I'm very fortunate to have some good partnerships with the guys at Be United and 12% Imports, and they know that I kind of am always on the lookout for something new, maybe a little different, and I'm interested in curiosities and things that are maybe a little odd and pushing the envelope a bit, and therefore I get offered them. So a lot of times I'll order stuff just to try it. I mean, a lot of the stuff you'd see on the shelf, a lot of the Italian stuff that's become available over the past couple of years, a lot of that stuff that I just wanted to kind of check out and see what hit with our customers and see what didn't. And I think we've kind of developed a customer base that is also people looking to try something new and something different. So it's kind of worked out, which is nice.
Yeah, I like it. I travel to Europe twice a year. I think before I went to Barcelona last year.
Yeah, right.
We talked about some of the beers there, and then I was able to find some and bring you some back, or one back, I think. Speaking of beers, you brought a beer, the Evil Twin Table Beer. Why don't you tell us about that beer?
This is a series that's being made for a place called Beer Table up in New York City. I believe it's in Grand Central Station, actually, in the station itself, which focuses in on food and beer pairings. And the proprietor up there got together with the 12% gang and reaching out to some of the brewers they work with the most. And the series essentially is, what beer would you want to have with your evening meal every day for the rest of your life? And the first beer in the series was done by Brian at Stillwater. We got our first beer from Westbrook Brewing Company was the table beer that they did a couple months back. And the Evil Twin one is the one that just arrived. And we have some in stock right now. We should be working with it for the next, I don't know, maybe into the summer. I don't think it's going to be available that much longer. But now when you asked to bring something kind of representative of what we do, I had a hard time figuring that out because we do so much of the Euro stuff, but we also do a lot of, regional beers too. But then I remembered I have a, all Brett fermented session beer with a ton of hops in it, and that's about, nice. If you were to paint a caricature of me as a buyer, it would probably be this bottle. So
let's open it.
Yeah, let's open it. Let's check it out.
Yeah, when I was, thinking about what beers you could bring after you asked me, I was hoping it would kind of be something like this or from the European side, because mostly we just do American craft beers here.
I almost went with one of the Italians. We talked about this because I had one bottle of that Ducato, the beer Salmatino left. I only had one bottle of it left. I wanted it to be something I actually had in stock.
Right. And we try to like to have beers on the show that people can get access to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, unless someone wants to send us some of those, rare.
The non-shameless call for
Yeah.
free stuff.
Yeah.
We
But,
do
like-
what we have to. But take a look at it. I mean,
Okay.
it's, nice color, and apparently Simcoe is Jeppy's favorite hop varietal. So he decided to use as much of it as he possibly could, I think. At least that's what it comes across as when you try it.
Now we know why there's a Simcoe hop shortage.
Yeah, right.
Simcoe really comes out.
Yeah.
You know, the first thing sometimes I think about with bread is, oh, it's sour, but no.
Or overly earthy. And I think that's what I've noticed lately with a lot of bread fermented beers that you're seeing, especially the all bread fermented beers. They're not nearly as, like horse blanket, leathery,
Right.
barnyardy as a lot of others are. And this one in particular is like that too. It's very floral almost. We just started carrying a cider from Basque that is fermented with a wild yeast strain.
Oh, really?
And it's not at all like a funky, earthy, bready note, and it works so well in there. I think it's kind of the same thing you're starting to see happen with some of these beers too.
Nice.
Yeah,
So how much time do you spend at Arrowine?
too much.
Next question.
No, I am I'm full time obviously, so there's a base 40 hours there, and the extra time it takes me to get everything stocked and on the shelf and priced, because I'm it as far as our beer department goes. Like I said, it's not a huge amount of space, but I try and pack as much stuff in there as possible. It is expanding more and more all the time, so it's more work. But the extra time I spend in doing it is more at home when I'm getting emails from importers and distributors trying to sort out what we're going to actually be working with over that week, the next month. Because these things, forgive the pun, are so fluid. It's a lot of times there's something I get offered when it's on a boat on the way over here, and you try to guesstimate when it's going to come in, but you have to be ready to completely rearrange your stock at a moment's notice. So
Nick, is craft beer is becoming more popular,
Mm-hmm.
and there's more craft beer in the marketplace. The supermarkets and the big stores are starting to pick up on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, some people could go buy their allotment of Hot Slam at Giant sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
or just regular Bell's and other companies. I'm not singling out Bell's
yeah.
at all. How is that affecting a boutique shop like Arrowine?
It can be a bit daunting to think about. Sometimes I've had to make some very hard decisions over the past year or two with stuff that I carry regularly, stuff that I'm a big fan of, that, with the way the business is structured, the wholesale deals are targeted more towards the bigger shops as they get more involved. A grocery chain like a Giant in particular, just to cite a specific example, they've gotten very smart over the past couple of years about what they're carrying, what they're buying, and they're laying a groundwork to be a good everyday resource, for a lot of people, which I actually really like. Again, let's not single out Bell's again, but let's say Lagunitas, a brewery like that. You see a lot of their stuff in Giants and Safeways, even Harris Teeters now. And for me, it doesn't make me more inclined to try and keep up with the pricing they'll put on something like that. But people who get into craft beer and start picking up stuff at their local grocery store and really get into it are people who are going to end up coming by Arrowine at some point, or a Norm's, or a Westover.
So it's your gateway beer purchasing place.
Yeah,
for now.
it is. When I used to live in Shirlington, a neighborhood in South Arlington, for those not in the Northern Virginia area, and our old apartment was a couple doors down from the 7-Eleven there. And while we lived down there, their beer selection started carrying like all the Sierra Nevada stuff, including the seasonals, all the Sams, including the seasonals. Then Flying Dog popped up, and Leffa, and then Palm for a while was showing up in there. and stuff like that. For me, it was encouraging. That's what we wanted. You know, to a certain extent, I think people kind of, the backlash is kind of, I don't know. I think how a brewery handles it or a distributor handles it has a lot to do with it. But at the same time, this is what we wanted. We wanted to see our favorite brewery stuff everywhere, and now it is. As a smaller retailer, as an independent retailer, you have to pick your battles. You have to be willing to fight over some stuff. You have to be willing to eat some margin to keep carrying something if you believe in it that much. But for me, I feel like I've been kind of laying the groundwork since I started with going towards the more specific, kind of harder to find, state of the art, stuff that's out there. And you set yourself apart. I mean, the way I think of it is I work in a specialty shop and words mean things. So that has to mean something. I have to specialize. I have to get more specific.
One last question for you. What beer that is not distributed in our market that's fairly easy to get in other markets would you want to have?
Wow. The first one that comes to mind is Deschutes, only because I feel like they could tomorrow. They could be here. They got no excuse.
I'm a huge fan of Deschutes.
I am too.
Black Butte Porter got me into craft beer.
They're more than big enough. They should be here. They should have been here years ago.
Deschutes, not so subtle message. Be more than happy to drink some of your stuff.
Big fan.
I'll buy a 6-pack here and there,
right.
maybe more.
I'll buy more. But personally, like the ones I am like kind of desperate for, Cascade. I want Cascade. It's not necessarily easy to get. It's not necessarily wide distribution, but I really, really want their stuff out here. I'm a really big fan. AleSmith. I'm a Speedway Stout junkie, and I need my fix on a regular basis.
We're kind of in the middle of their footprint because they're just launching in North Carolina. They're up in Pennsylvania.
That always happens. People go to Pennsylvania first because they think Philly's a better beer area than D.C. And then they go into North Carolina because the North Carolina market is growing, but it's not as intense demand-wise. If you're coming to Virginia, you're coming into Northern Virginia. In Northern Virginia is a market where you have to have product that you can get into the market consistently. And fresh, and all the things that people will bug you about. You have to be able to handle that. New Belgium wasn't comfortable even coming out here until a couple years ago when they had done that last big expansion before they announced the East Coast brewery. They were a very big brewery before they decided, okay, let's do this. It was a huge rollout. It was a huge effort. I'm still shocked at the breweries we do get up here now. The smaller ones, but I think in the end, the way the beer business is going, at least retail-wise, I don't think as more and more craft breweries pop up and become popular and become well-known, I don't think the demand is going to be as strenuous on breweries to have as much supply of something. Like, I wouldn't necessarily need to have every Cascade beer on my shelf all the time. But 2 or 3 shipments per year, when a seasonal comes out, send this out, it's on the shelf, it's there, it's gone. There's too much competition to really expect that even big stores are going to be able to carry everything from every brewery all the time. Not even Totals have that much space, And if they do, they're going to run out within the next few years because there's just so many people out there. So again, I think it's going to start resembling wine retail. You're going to have some breweries that send stuff into a certain market maybe once a year, and it'll be very limited, and it's targeted towards a specific customer base, and that's okay. That's why there are different retailers. That's why there's different shops and different people doing the buying over there. That's kind of the fun part. Otherwise, it'd be one chain selling something that just said beer on the label. That'd be it.
Awesome. Well, Nick, thank you very much for coming.
Man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for bringing the beer. You could find Nick on Twitter at _Beermonger, I think.
Yes.
Or if you're in the area, go check out Arrowine. I go maybe 1 to 2 times a month. Great cheese selection, obviously an awesome beer selection. And I love the Castrovetrano
Oh,
olives.
the olives, yes.
Oh, those are the best.
They're great.
And the duck prosciutto. So more reasons to go there than just the beer.
We have duck bacon now. I'm not even kidding.
This interview's over. I'm Richard Hartogs, and this is your Better Beer Authority.
Better beer.